welcome to the presentation of Ascelia Pharma. So, Ascelia Pharma is an orphan oncology company. So, we are focusing on developing novel drugs that address unmet medical needs in patients with rare cancer indications. We're fully financed for our phase 3 program of our lead asset, MANGORAL, and as of June 30, we had 225 million Swedish kronor in cash. For MANGORAL, it's a novel liver imaging drug, which means that it's used in patients before they undergo a liver MRI procedure. It's addressing a market opportunity where there's no safe and effective drug available for these patients today, patients with poor kidney function, because they have risk of potentially deadly side effects from all the products out there today. This market opportunity is $350 to $500 million addressable market annually in the major markets, and with no competition for MANGORAL. We will be starting to enroll patients in the phase 3 global registration enabling study in the second half of this year, and we expect results at the end of next year. We have orphan designation from the FDA, and we have a very strong clinical data package from 6 completed clinical studies. The other asset we have in clinical development is MANGORAL. It's a patented tablet formulation of irinotecan, and we're developing it for the treatment of gastric cancer. We think that has significant advantages for both the patient and the healthcare system. And we have late last year and early this year, we have presented and published data from our phase 1A, phase 1B study. So this is another very encouraging opportunity. So in the last fiscal quarter, which is the second quarter calendar year this year, we had a meeting with the the EMA on the phase 3 program for MANGORAL. And based on that feedback, we believe the agreement we have and our plan that we have agreed with the FDA would potentially also allow approval in Europe if the studies are successful. As mentioned, we have published data on the phase 1B study for MANGORAL in combination with Ascelia, so an all-tablet chemo combination. We filed a new patent for next generation MANGORAL, which will allow us to have patent protection until 2040, significantly increasing the value of the MANGORAL franchise. And we utilized only a little bit of our overallotment in the March IPO and issued raised an additional 22 million Swedish kronor. So, MANGORAL, our lead program, what does it do? So, liver metastasis is a major problem in oncology. The reason is that the liver is one of the most frequent organs for metastasis where cancer is spreading to another organ. To understand to assess whether cancer has spread to the liver, imaging is necessary, and the best and most sensitive way to image the liver is through an MRI procedure. To maximize the accuracy of that procedure, you inject today a gadolinium agent. Gadolinium is a toxic heavy metal, but that is what is available today. But by injecting that into the bloodstream of the patient, you get better images. The reason the clinicians do that is that it will give them better information, and then the tumor board, that will be the radiologist, the oncologist, and the surgeon will assess, is this patient a candidate for liver surgery? Will it be a candidate for localized therapies, or will it be drug therapy? It matters a lot, and the reason is early and accurate detection of liver metastasis has tremendous impact on treatment decision and patient outcome. I mean, in this study here, colorectal cancer patients with liver metastasis were randomized. Those that got surgery had a 5-year survival of 46%. Those that only got the drug treatment had a 6% survival. And therefore, if at all possible, patients with liver mets will get surgery. So today, patients with normal kidney function, near normal kidney function will have a gadolinium imaging drug. Those with very poor kidney function do not have a safe and effective imaging drug. And all gadolinium products carry black box warnings relating to this. Screening procedures for poor kidney function before administration of gadolinium agents is recommended by both FDA, EMA, PMDA, and others. So this is today. Tomorrow, we will focus MANGORAL for the patients that have no solution today. So we're not competing with the gadolinium agents. We think we have a very good agent, but you say from a positioning perspective, we're going in and improving the medical care of the patients with poor kidney function in need of liver MRI. That's 280,000 patients in US, Europe, and Japan. This is a sizable opportunity with nothing available today. To give you an example of what what does it look like when MANGORAL is given to a patient. I've taken an example from one of our phase 2 studies. So what you see here is an abdominal T1 weighted image, actual image. So the patient is lying on the back, feet towards you, and you can see on the left-hand side of this, you can see the liver. This is one slice of the image, and you see some black dots. Those are bile ducts and blood vessels. So this is a perfectly normal, radiologist would be able to say this looks very normal. So then this patient here had MANGORAL. And what you can see is the tissue, the healthy hepatocytes become white. That's the mode of action of MANGORAL. It goes into healthy hepatocytes, and that provides a white enhancement on the scan. Metastases are by definition not liver cells, not hepatocytes. They could be breast cells, they could be colon cells, lung cells. They become cancer cells and move to the liver. They're unable to take up MANGORAL, and they will stay black. And in this case, a metastasis was visible here, and which was not visible with the unenhanced scan. So in this scenario, it has tremendous impact on the staging of the cancer of the patient and on the treatment decision. If this had been missed, the patient would have had expanded, the cancer would have continued to grow and not been treated. But if it had been identified as it was in this case, it could be treated. So, as I mentioned, we have a very strong data package. We have completed 6 phase 1 and phase 2 studies, and very consistent and strong results. We also done a blind read or a meta-analysis, if you will, of all the images that we have from our 6 clinical trials and our compassionate use program. Those images were evaluated by Professor Rendell Nelson from Duke University, very high-profile radiologist in liver. And these data were presented at major radiology conferences. So the result was that he identified 33% more lesions, more black dots with MANGORAL than without. This is a very, very significant number. Furthermore, when looking at the image quality, there was a significant improved lesion visualization in terms of conspicuity and delineation, and you can see the p-values, which are very unusual to see in drug development. So based on these data, we have had discussions with both the FDA and the EMA leading into a phase 3 program. We will have one global registration-enabling pivotal phase 3 study, and that will be in 200 patients. The primary endpoint will be improved lesion visualization, which is a composite endpoint based on the number of lesions visualized, and semi-quantitative and semi-qualitative parameters. And good examples of semi-quantitative and semi-qualitative parameters could be lesion conspicuity or lesion delineation. So the comparator in the phase 3 will be an unenhanced scan. So essentially, the patient, we will compare the left-hand side with the combined information from the left and the right-hand side. And we need to prove that the left and the right-hand side here is better than this one alone. We think, based on the data that we have, and you could say the endpoint, we think the likelihood of being successful in our phase 3 program is quite significant. Another point that is worth noting is that this is a short follow-up time. This is for a procedure, so it's a 72-hour follow-up, meaning that we will not lose many patients to follow up in the study. And the other point is that there's no randomization. Each patient will be their own control, because first they will have an unenhanced and then they will have a MANGORAL enhanced study. That gives us a lot of statistical power in the analysis. So as I mentioned, we will start enrolling patients in the second half of the year and expect results at the end of next year. As you can see here, right now we have phase 3 ready. We will start enrolling patients very soon. Then we will file for registration and prepare commercialization, and then we will commercialize in 2022. So as mentioned, the market is a $350 to $500 million market. It's 280,000 patients in US, Europe, and Japan in need of improved liver visualization and with a poor kidney function. We've done extensive payer interaction. We've spoken to more than 25 payers describing MANGORAL, what we can do for these patients, and also discussed specific price points. And based on those conversations and our analysis, we believe that this price per dose of $1,500 to $3,000 per dose is is a value-creating price for the healthcare system, where they will have overall lower healthcare costs for these patients. So the other program, MANGORAL, it's a patented formulation of irinotecan. Irinotecan is a well-known intravenous agent for treatment of cancer. It's very effective, but the infusion period and massive dose in the patient initially gives a lot of side effects. We believe that having a tablet daily dosing with this drug will have significant impact on both efficacy and safety for these patients. And there's a strong preference on the patient side to have such an agent. So we're positioning our product very differently from what else is out there in the irinotecan area. The irinotecan Camtosar is approved in Europe and US for colorectal cancer. Pancreatic, which is another injectable formulation, Onivyde, which is another injectable formulation, is approved for pancreatic cancer. And we are moving into gastric cancer. And the reason we do that is obviously there's a tremendous unmet medical need in that disease. It's an orphan condition. It's something that we can manage as a smaller company to develop. We also know that injectable irinotecan is approved in Japan for gastric cancer. So we know irinotecan is effective in killing those cancer cells. And we've been overwhelmed by the strong response from oncologists, gastro-oncologists. So that's why we're moving into that area. And this is obviously, as many other cancer types, a very significant market, more than $4 billion. And that is obviously a number of different drugs, and most of these drugs are given in different kinds of combinations. So really, to summarize, Ascelia Pharma, an orphan oncology company, we have a fully financed phase 3 global program for that we will execute ourselves. It's a $350 to $500 million market, addressable market with no competition. And we have very strong data. We have a phase 3 program that is highly similar to our phase 2 program. So prediction of success is very good. MANGORAL, advancing into phase 2 next year. With a very exciting opportunity in the treatment of gastric cancer. Thank you very much.